Do you want all the important answers in your life? Do you fancy knowing all the right moves to make? Are you looking for an ultimate source of truth you can tap into whenever you need? Well, you can do all that through intuition. Or can you?
Following your intuition has been championed by scientists and philosophers, from Einstein to Steve Jobs. There is information everywhere telling you the importance of following your intuition. But what is intuition? Well, it seems like in some ways it depends on who you ask.
For me, I like to think of intuition as my gut feeling.
Your intuition is a different way of thinking or processing information. It's the opposite of analytical thinking. So when you're thinking analytically, we consider the facts at hand and make a conscious decision. When we are using our intuition, our brain is making subconscious decisions and processing subconsciously based on data and previous experiences, and gives us answers in the form of feelings or intuition. Research tells us there are different types of intuition. So there's creative intuition, which might lead to a creative outcome. Expert intuition, which are all of those things that you're good at that you've now stored away and can be accessed automatically. There's moral intuition, which helps you make quick judgments in the face of ethical dilemmas. Social intuition, that helps you pick up on subtle social indicators so you can evaluate social situations quickly. And then there's another one, and this starts to stretch my limited imagination for non-factual information, and that's
Spiritual
intuition. And that's intuition that is coming from a source outside of ourselves. One of the primary exponents of the concept of spiritual intuition was pioneer transpersonal psychologist Francis Bourne. So when it comes to gut feelings, there is this dichotomy of how you can think of it from a black and white sciencey position of combination of your gut bacteria communicating directly to your brain via chemical messages in the blood, or the more spiritual view, which is an overall sensation of knowing.
Now, I like to think of myself as a pretty open-minded person, but I'm pretty analytical and black and white. So what that means is if you need me to believe something, generally you have to prove it to me. So that makes things in the spiritual realm kind of challenging.
I feel like lately in my life, the concept of spiritual intuition is a topic that has been coming up a lot. A few months ago, this concept would have sounded completely inconceivable to me. But now I'm wondering, is there or could there really be a source greater than ourselves that you can tap in for answers? Because that would be awesome. This perhaps came from a shift of having a boss that gives you direction and tells you what to do all the time, to then being out on your own and having to make those decisions and having no one to look for answers now but yourself. I found myself continuing to make plans that sounded reasonable and just pushing through them until I burnt myself out. I realized I forgot why I was doing what I was doing. I wasn't here just to complete plans. Therefore, I was not enjoying myself, and I felt like my actions were unaligned with my driving intentions. Through no real conscious effort on my part, I found myself trying more and more to tune into my gut feelings and my intuition, rather than using my rational planning and analyzing and decision-making brain as my driving force.
And to be honest, I did start to feel a shift. Things started to feel easier and more satisfying and more harmonious, but it didn't yield any better results for me. So my rational brain can't help but think, should I really be driven by my intuition?
Advocates of following your intuition purport advantages such as intuition invites simplicity. Intuition always has your best interests at heart. Following your intuition can help you make better choices. Trusting your intuition allows you to get to know yourself.
But still, I hesitate to jump into this as a new way of conducting my life. And I think I see the issues in two parts. One is, should you be following your intuition blindly? And in this scenario, does it matter whether spiritual intuition actually exists?
So I decided to hit the web to see if I could uncover answers that might satisfy my proof-based brain. So I think it goes without saying I'm no expert in this, nor did I dive very deep into the research. This is just a quick jump into the literature.
But in doing this research, I think I've come across 3 potential reasons not to follow your intuition.
So the first reason not to follow your intuition is because your sciencey intuition is fallible. So it turns out that there are issues with our unconscious processing of data. First issue is we tend to see what we want to see without ambiguity. Our brain tends to move towards familiar and comfortable interpretation, even if they are disconnected from reality. The second issue with intuition is our brain's tendency to produce outcomes that suggest what you see is all that is there. This is a mechanism that takes whatever information is available and makes the best possible story out of the information currently available. People tend to have great belief, great faith in the stories that are based on very little evidence. This overconfidence is another flaw of the process.
But there are times when they generally recommend that you follow your sciencey intuition.
When you are doing something you're experienced in, because intuition is really learned expertise in disguise. Considering getting a second opinion. So this is something that is recommended in medical situations to go with your hunch. Shopping for a home. So this is about looking beyond the facts and figures that's happening in your rational brain and incorporating some unconscious thought as well. But let your rational thinking help you out when you're sniffing out a lie, because there aren't actually a lot of detectable signs to know when someone's being dishonest. And also when you're hiring someone for a job, because actually your intuition might be guided by something else, another reason for why you think that candidate is suitable for the job.
Have you ever followed your intuition and then realized it wasn't such a good idea? I 100% have answered questions that I was certain I had the correct answer for, that in the end it turned out I was wrong. So it sounds like that you can follow your sciencey intuition, but it's a good idea to engage your rational brain as well and proceed with a little caution.
The second reason not to listen to your intuition is because spiritual intuition might not actually be a thing. So according to the website Chopra, trusting your gut, listening to your vibes, tapping into your higher self, tuning into your sixth sense, plugging into cosmic intelligence, all describes accessing your intuition. So how does spiritual intuition work then? So according to ancient Indian texts, your intuition is an uninterrupted feed into the cosmic mind of the universe. That cosmic mind already knows the answer to every question, the truth behind every event. It is the absolute authority, and you, by extension, have access to this field of cosmic intelligence. According to the spiritual intuition school of thought, people receive intuition in 4 ways. Clairaudient, which is hearing intuitive guidance as gentle voices in your mind. Clairvoyant, which is seeing intuitive guidance as images in your mind. Claircognizant, which is knowing intuitive guidance or as breakthrough thoughts. Or clairsentient, which is feeling intuitive guidance as a physical, emotion, or energetic sensation. So that sounds like our gut feelings.
So I'm definitely not saying this isn't a thing. And and I really intend to stay open-minded. But I think maybe you can imagine with my secular upbringing and analytical mind that I'm finding this all a little bit of a stretch. It might now be worth mentioning the 2012 article published in the Scientific American discussing people's spirituality and the relationship with critical thinking.
This article discussed that religious beliefs may be related to how we rely on intuitive versus analytical thinking. For example, the research suggests that there's an interesting association that in people who tend to rely on their intuition are more likely to believe in spirituality. Encouraging people to think intuitively tended to increase people's belief in spirituality, and encouraging people to think analytically reduced their tendency to believe in spirituality. So that sort of makes sense to me personally with my heavy weight towards analytical thinking and problematic relationship with spirituality. Third reason that I can find not to follow your intuition is because there are noises that can get in your way and confuse the issue.
I've come to realize that in my life that when things aren't feeling right, it can actually be a whole bunch of things that could be getting in your way. Things like fears and limiting beliefs. And I definitely think they can muddy the water of following your intuition.
In Mind Body Green, clairvoyant, intuitive, and author Catherine Allen says that the main danger in giving free rein to your gut feelings is that you could be projecting. The example she gives is if you were cheated on in the past and you're convinced that your new partner is cheating too. You could be right, but you could also be projecting your previous unprocessed trauma into this situation. Allen also says that for people dealing with anxiety, distinguishing between anxious fears and intuition may be a challenge. So working on your self-awareness to distinguish the difference is key. Also, as a side note, apparently there may be other sinister forces messing with your intuition. Apparently, the Bible tells us that what may feel like intuition can as easily be one of the enemy's fiery arrows. Personally, I think my rational brain muddies the water of my intuition. And this probably comes down to me not being practiced at tuning into my intuition. But to continue with the cheating example, I've been in a situation where my intuition was screaming out that I was being cheated on, but my rational brain, without solid proof, was not going to trust that feeling. And guess what? He was totally cheating on me. So this makes me think, is this what is happening now? Is my intuition shouting at me to trust it? But I'm going through all these proof finding exercises like this to try and validate my gut feelings by analytical means? Quite possibly. So now I feel like we're this far into the process without any proof. So I thought, why don't I try an experiment? One means of getting in touch with your spiritual intuition is to try free writing after meditating. I took this tip from popular spiritual guru Gabrielle Bernstein. This practice is as simple as pulling out your journal after meditating, writing a prompt asking for guidance, and to see what comes.
So I just finished the free writing and I don't know, it was pretty amazing and apt, I guess, if you want to believe that the universe is speaking to you. It's the universe is saying all the right things, but is it the universe or is it just my subconscious mind kind of spitting out things that make sense in this moment?
Another means that can be used to get in touch with your intuition are oracle cards, also sometimes called the chill cousin of tarot cards. But unlike the strict format of tarot cards, oracle cards can be produced however the creator would like. This includes themes, messages, numbers, and pictures. So I thought I would hit the oracle cards and ask them, should I wholeheartedly trust my intuition? The first deck I used was Gabrielle Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back, and the first draw was pretty compelling. But the next couple kind of muddied the waters for my wanting beliefs. The next deck I tried was Yasmin Boland's Moonology cards. The message on the card was balance, spirituality, and practicality. And this seems like the perfect message for me. But inside the guidebook, there was another little nugget for me under additional meanings for this card. Follow your intuition, it won't let you down. Well played, universe.
So my conclusion after this research is that in essence, the only reason that you should follow your intuition wholeheartedly is if in fact you believe in spiritual intuition.
But I guess for me in this case, it's like the situation with the cheating boyfriend. There was a pretty serious amount of convincing proof before I could accept things for how they really are. So I wonder what it's going to take this time for me to break up with my old ways of thinking and move on with the new.
So, how about you? What does intuition mean to you? Do you follow it? Do you trust it? Do you have any good stories about following your intuition? If so, drop it into the comments because I'd love to chat about it with you guys. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please subscribe so you can get notification when there's more good content.